My name is Viola, and at 28 years old, I will give you $2,200 if you break up with her. My dad said to my boyfriend, she should get together with her ex. So we got up and left, but not before burning something in front of everyone. It left them speechless when they found out what it was. 3 months later, my dad was in prison after. The smell of grilled meat and artificial cheer always makes my stomach turn. If you have ever felt betrayed by the people who should have been your biggest supporters, let me know where you are watching from. It was one of those warm weekends where everything looks better than it feels. Sunlight catching on wine glasses, kids running barefoot through the grass, someone's Bluetooth speaker playing something upbeat but forgettable. My dad's backyard had been cleaned within an inch of its life. Brand new patio cushions, hired staff manning the grill, giant cooler packed with drinks, not a single off-brand in sight. I should have known something was off the second he called it a family celebration. There was nothing to celebrate, not really, but he'd rounded everyone up like it was some sacred tradition. Mark and I had been together for over a year. He was the only reason I didn't back out of the barbecue altogether. He pulled me in close before we walked up the driveway and said, "We can leave whenever you want." I nodded. "Let's just try and survive dessert." He didn't laugh, just squeezed my hand like he knew more than I did. Maybe he did. My dad greeted us like a man running for office. Handshake for Mark, tight smile for me, the kind of smile that looks more like teeth. His eyes scanned my outfit. No comment. We made small talk. I complimented the new outdoor furniture. He said nothing, just smirked like he'd won a bet. Most of the family was already there. My brother, golden child, in a polo shirt, was flipping burgers like he owned the place. My cousins made snide comments about how good the steak smelled and how lucky we were to be invited. I smiled that tight, numb smile you give when you're trying not to feel anything at all. Mark wandered off to grab drinks. I stayed behind, pretending to be interested in the conversation even though I couldn't hear anything over the pounding in my chest. I wasn't nervous, just off. A few minutes later I saw them. My dad and Mark talking near the garage. Nothing dramatic, no yelling. Just two men having a quiet conversation like they were negotiating a loan or a golf membership. Then Mark came back. His face looked wrong, still calm but pale, like the blood had drained out through his shoes. "What happened?" I asked. He handed me my drink. "We should go." "Why?" He opened his mouth, then closed it, glanced back at my dad. "Not here." I stared at him, and then I knew I hadn't heard the whole thing, but I'd caught enough. I was walking past the garage earlier, headed to the bathroom, when I heard my dad's voice say, "She's just confused. You break up with her, you get $2,000. Clean, no drama." I thought I'd imagined it, thought maybe he was talking about something else. I was wrong. I didn't say anything, just nodded. Mark took my hand again, and we walked toward the fire pit. It was small, more decorative than functional. A tiny blaze flickered in the center of the stone ring, something one of my uncles had started for roasting marshmallows. I pulled a manila envelope from my bag. It was thick, tightly taped shut. Mark watched me, eyebrows low, but he didn't ask. I held it over the fire and dropped it in. It didn't catch right away. The paper darkened, then curled, then finally burst into flame. Orange licked across the seal. The smoke was acrid and sharp. Someone behind us went quiet, then another. My dad stepped forward, eyebrows raised. "What the hell are you doing?" I didn't look at him, just turned, took Mark's hand again, and walked straight out of that yard. No Goldbees, no explanations. Not yet. We got in the car, closed the doors. No one followed yet. Mark stared out the windshield for a long moment. Then he finally said it. He offered me money. I nodded. I said no. He added quickly, like he needed to make that part clear, "I know you heard it. Some of it." He exhaled. He said, "You were better off with your ex, that he'd help your dad out if you got back together." I didn't say anything. I just felt stupid. Stupid for thinking my dad respected me. Stupid for thinking this day would be normal. Stupid for bringing someone I actually loved into a family that didn't even know how to spell the word. Mark looked over at me. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," I said. And I meant it, because I wasn't embarrassed about him. I was embarrassed I ever believed I meant more to my father than whatever deal he was trying to make. We drove home in silence. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. It felt still, like something inside me had gone quiet. Later that night, my phone lit up. 17 missed calls, 4 voicemails, family group chat blowing up. The messages started coming in one by one. What was that? Did you really set fire to something in front of the kids? You need to explain yourself. What was in the envelope? I didn't reply because they didn't deserve an answer. Not yet. Let them sit in the smoke for a while. By the time I was 8, I knew how to perform. Not on stage, not in a school play. I mean the kind of performance you do to survive. The kind where smiling too long makes your face ache and your stomach twists every time you say the right thing. My dad called it social intelligence. Said I was gifted. Said I could get anything I wanted if I just knew how to be likable. What he really meant was useful. It started with Amy Caldwell. She was the daughter of his boss, only a few months older than me. Blonde and smug, always wearing those stiff plaid dresses like she was auditioning for a catalog. I didn't like her. She didn't like me. It was mutual, natural, honest. But my dad had other plans. "You're going to be her best friend," he said one night after dinner, like it was already a fact. "Her dad loves her. If she likes you, he'll look at me differently. That matters." I remember staring at him, fork halfway to my mouth. "But she's mean." "She's direct," he corrected, "and you need to toughen up." The next day, he sat me down with a notepad and made me practice talking points. Smile, compliment her, ask her about her hobbies. Don't talk too much about yourself. "If this works out," he said, "we'll go to that amusement park you keep talking about." So I tried. I sat through her bratty comments, let her criticize my shoes, let her tell me I chewed weird. Every time I wanted to walk away, I'd hear my dad's voice in the back of my head. "Don't screw this up for us." And when she told me loudly that I wasn't fun enough to be her friend and walked off mid-sentence, I remember standing there frozen, cheeks burning, wondering what I'd done wrong. When I told my dad, he didn't console me, didn't even look surprised. "You must have said something weird. Honestly, I expected more from you." I was 8. I lost my other friend privileges for weeks. No sleepovers, no play dates, just silence and disappointment. That was the first time I realized my dad only loved me when I was useful to him. It didn't get better as I got older. If anything, he got more sophisticated about it. He stopped calling it helping the family and started calling it being mature. And I wanted to be mature. I wanted to make him proud. So I said yes. Always yes. Yes to tutoring my brother, so Dad didn't have to deal with his homework. Yes to babysitting my cousins for free when he promised to pay me later. Yes to pretending I loved the vacation house we couldn't afford, just so he could save face in front of his friends. And when I started dating Julian, my ex, my dad lit up like he just won the lottery. Julian was charming, confident, expensive. He knew wine, quoted SEOs, and smiled with his teeth. My dad adored him immediately. "Finally," he said one night, "a man who understands value, not kindness, not love." At first, I thought it was just the usual father-in-law ego trip, but then I noticed things. The way Julian always looked past me when answering questions. The way he spoke for me in group settings, like I was a talking accessory. The way he made every small disagreement feel like a personal attack on his genius. It didn't take long for the shine to wear off. But by then, I'd been so conditioned to keep everyone else comfortable, I didn't even notice how uncomfortable I was until he grabbed my wrist in the middle of an argument at a friend's birthday dinner. He didn't leave a bruise, just a red mark. That was enough. I ended it 2 days later. My mom didn't say much, just gave me a long, unreadable look over her coffee. My dad, though, he took it personally. "You always ruin good things," he muttered during a phone call that week. "You never think long term." What he meant was, "You just cost me something." And in the months that followed, it became a quiet campaign. Little comments like, "You'll never find someone like Julian again," or "You should have stuck it out. Relationships take work." Or the worst, "He still asks about you, says he'd take you back." I ignored it, pretended it didn't sting. Then I met Mark. Soft-spoken, steady, thoughtful in ways that never demanded applause. He remembered how I took my coffee, asked about my day, and actually listened. Once I mentioned offhand that I liked a rare brand of honey from a farmer's market I hadn't been to in years. The next weekend, he brought it over, not with a speech, not with a joke, just handed it to me, smiled, said, "I saw this and thought of you." That was it. I didn't know how to explain it to my family. I didn't even try, because I already knew they wouldn't get it. When my dad offered him money to leave me, I wasn't surprised. What surprised me was how calm I felt. It was like finally watching a magic trick in reverse. The wires visible, the mirrors cracked. I wasn't angry. Not then. Not yet. I was just done. Done pretending he ever saw me as anything but a bargaining chip. Later that night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I thought about the envelope, the one I burned without hesitation. I'd spent weeks preparing it, fighting banks, negotiating, talking to lawyers. It was the only way to keep my father's house from being taken. I hadn't told anyone, not even Mark. I wanted it to be a surprise, because no matter how much he disappointed me, a part of me still wanted to be the daughter he could be proud of. It was me walking out of work during lunch breaks to meet with a loan officer who looked at my application and said, "You're willing to take this on for someone else's mortgage?" And I said yes before I could talk myself out of it. "Guess why?" I said. "Because I'm the only one who will." What I didn't say, because he's my father, and I still want him to be proud of me. I hadn't told him. I wanted it to be a surprise, the good kind, a clean win, a way to prove to myself that I was the bigger person, that I could rise above everything he'd done and just fix it. I was going to save his house, take on the payments, cover the back taxes, sign the loan in my name, cut down my own expenses, and quietly, steadily hand him back his life. And then I heard what he said to Mark, that I was a bargaining chip, a ticket back to my ex, a pawn in some pathetic trade. Get back with Julian and he'll pay off the debt. Your current boyfriend? A placeholder. $2,200 to make it all go away. I stood there at the edge of the garage, watching the man who raised me try to buy off the person who actually loves me, and I realized the loan wasn't going to save anything. It was just going to let him keep using me. So I burned it. I didn't explain that to anyone, not at first. The group chat was still buzzing days later. People wanted answers. Some assumed I was having a breakdown. Others were more direct. What was in the envelope? You embarrassed your father in front of the entire family. Are you okay? Did you mean to set it on fire? Seriously, what was that? I didn't respond, until Mark did. He posted a short message in the chat. No drama, no explanation, just, "She found out her dad tried to pay me to leave her." I said no. He heard it too. You can do the math. Silence. And then slowly the real messages started trickling in, from cousins, from in-laws, even from one of my aunts, who I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. "I'm sorry, that's disgusting. He always did push Julian like he was family. I get it now." My brother, of course, said nothing. He just posted a meme in the chat the next day, like nothing happened. A few nights later, my phone rang. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened to it twice. Julian. Smooth as ever, voice like a podcast you never asked to hear. "Hey, I heard things got messy. I just want to say I never meant for any of this to hurt you. I was just trying to help your dad. I care about you. I always have." There was a pause. Then he added, "You know where to find me if you want to talk." I deleted the message. Not because it made me angry, because it didn't. Because it felt like spam, like an automated voice that had finally lost its script. My dad didn't call, not right away. But 3 days later, I was in my kitchen, bare feet on the cold tile, making tea, when I heard a knock. Not the polite kind, the kind that's rapid, desperate, banging. Mark came out of the bedroom just as I opened the door. There he was, my dad, unshaven, out of breath, like he'd sprinted across town and forgotten to change out of his pride. "Can we talk?" he said. I didn't move. He looked past me, saw Mark standing there, and immediately flinched. So I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. He started talking before I could even breathe. "I'm sorry," he said. "I was under pressure. I wasn't thinking straight. Julian said he could help. I thought it would be easier if you weren't distracted." Distracted, that's what I was to him, an obstacle. "Do you even hear yourself?" I said. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you meant to trade me." He rubbed his face like the words stung. "I didn't know about the loan, about the paperwork." "I know, and now it's gone," I said, like he couldn't believe it. "You burned it?" I crossed my arms. "I was going to save your house," I said quietly. "I had it lined up. Payments, contracts, deadlines, all of it." He looked up at me. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. "You did that for me?" he said. I didn't answer because the truth is I hadn't done it for him. I'd done it for the little girl who still thought she could earn his approval. No, now I'd burned her too. I made a mistake, he said. Please, I'm going to lose everything. I know, I said. That's why I stopped helping. He opened his mouth. I walked back to the door. You chose Julian, I said over my shoulder. Let him save you. And then I went inside and locked it behind me. Later that night, I curled up on the couch with Mark and watched some bad reality show. I didn't talk much. Didn't need to. He reached over, squeezed my hand. You okay? He asked. I thought about it, then nodded. For the first time, yeah. And I meant it. The house didn't go into foreclosure after all. That surprised me more than anything. One week he was knocking on my door, saying he was out of options. The next, I heard from my aunt that he'd found a solution. Just like that. Debt gone, crisis averted, the house safe. No thanks to me, of course. At first I assumed he'd borrowed money from someone else, maybe guilt-tripped my brother, maybe sold something. I didn't ask, didn't care. But the weird thing about peace is that it makes you paranoid. When things get quiet, you start wondering when the next blow is going to land. 3 months later, it did. It was a Thursday when I found out. I was at work, scrolling through emails, sipping cold coffee, when Mark sent me a news link with no message attached. The headline hit like a brick. Local man charged with fraud in investment scam targeting retirees. I clicked, and there was my father's face, looking smug and confused in his mugshot, like he still didn't understand how consequences work. I read the article twice. Turns out the debt didn't just disappear. Julian helped. Only not out of kindness, not even out of obsession. He offered my dad a solution, a fast-track scheme that involved fake shell companies, falsified asset reports, and one very real paper trail. All of which my dad had happily signed off on, in exchange for wiping his mortgage clean. And now he was being charged with financial fraud, identity falsification, and conspiracy to defraud investors. They used his name. He used mine once. 2 days later, I got the message. Please, I need your help. Just for the lawyer. I don't have anyone else. My stomach turned. It wasn't just desperation. It was entitlement. Like he still thought I was the safety net. Like he hadn't burned through every last thread of trust and still expected me to stitch it back together. I didn't reply. An hour later, my mom called and kept calling. When I finally picked up, she was crying. He's not perfect, she said, but prison will break him. Then he shouldn't have committed fraud, I said. Don't say that. Please, just help us pay for the lawyer. You can afford it. I was quiet for a long time. Then I said, I could have saved the house. With my name, quietly. But you both decided I wasn't worth as much as Julian's money. She sniffled. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I said. You just thought I'd forgive you afterward. Please, she whispered. He's still your father. I paused. No, he's your mistake. And I hung up. The trial didn't last long. He pled out. 2 years in federal prison, reduced from 5. Good behavior, restitution. I didn't go. Didn't watch the hearings. Didn't answer the texts from cousins asking if it was really that serious. I just lived my life. The fallout was almost poetic. My brother, golden child, dropped out of college a month later. Too much stress, he told everyone. Translation. The tuition well had dried up. My mom, ever resilient, started dating a retired gym teacher named Dave, who sells essential oils on Facebook and calls her Queen. She posts pictures of their brunches now, like nothing happened. She hasn't called me since I said no. I think that was the last honest moment between us. As for me, I sleep through the night. I started therapy, real therapy, not just venting to friends and calling it self-care. Mark proposed last week. No fireworks, no crowd, just us on the couch, barefoot in hoodies, sharing takeout. He looked at me like he had the rest of our lives in his back pocket and said, You don't have to say yes fast. I can wait. I didn't. I said yes immediately, because sometimes you know what's good the second you feel safe around it. I haven't spoken to my parents in almost a year. Not directly, anyway. Every now and then a cousin updates me like it's small talk. Your mom's still with that guy. He makes weird smoothies. Your dad's up for early release if he behaves. I smile, nod, and change the subject. They don't belong in my present. They chose their chaos. They can keep it. Sometimes I think about the fire, the barbecue, the manila envelope curling in the flames while my family watched in silence. I didn't know it then, but that moment was the beginning of my life. The real one, not the life I was performing for, not the one built on guilt and obligation, the one where I stopped trying to earn love from people who think of me as a tool. And the wild part? I'm not angry anymore. I'm just free. I still ask myself sometimes, did I go too far? I burned the papers. I walked away. I let my dad face prison without lifting a finger. And yeah, a part of me still wonders. He's my father. But then I remember, he sold me off for a mortgage payment. He chose manipulation over love. And when everything fell apart, he only reached out to ask for more. So I chose myself. Would you have done the same? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, hit that subscribe button.